dad is, a very, very, very good gynecologist, obstetrician, top in this country. And he didn't know. I was living with my parents.
What?
Yeah. Their room was directly opposite mine. They did not know for 9 months. 9 whole months.
But your body's changing.
Yeah. When people can't see the relevance, the applicability of this faith, of this gospel, of God in life, then automatically it's like, okay, depending on who you're around, you have to pretend.
Yeah.
If you don't have to pretend, then you don't need to be part of it because it's hard.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. She was like, stop it!
No!
Or like, what did we do? She took the microphone from Lena. I think Lena was on stage at that time. She took the microphone from Lena. She was like, stop. And she starts talking, I invited you guys, and when you came here, I looked at you and I asked myself, surely, did I bite more than I can chew? That mission ended there. There.
Like, it was not like, okay, you guys put yourself together a little bit and then...
She stopped it there. This is what Jesus Christ was saying. We're teaching the doctrines of, the traditions of men as though they're doctrines of God.
That's it.
To make clear vitu zingine mazi, we think, you have to be in a certain way to belong to God.
Interestingly, nowadays, many conversations with organizations is how do I manage my Gen Zs? How do I mean, it's sort of like panic. There's panic across the board.
People should be able to see God through our lives, period.
Yeah.
And then they get to appreciate that, like, oh man,
yeah,
I saw Moses falling, but I also got to see God restoring Moses.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Or Moses going through a difficult time.
Yeah.
And him being at peace.
Yeah. It's such a nice place, though.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for this conversation, and let me apologize again to our viewers who are watching. I came late. Hata nijishtaki. I normally
By how many minutes?
Hey,
Let's
30 minutes. Yani, I feel terrible, and now it's just starting. It's 45 minutes late. I'm so deeply sorry for starting this late, Angie. I feel so when I'm late, I feel I've disrespected the other person. Yeah.
Well, I usually tell that to people. Like if I'm teaching a class, I usually tell people as somebody's walking in, I'm usually the kind of person to shame people.
Yeah.
Just so that they don't do it again. It's like, yeah, when you come in late, this is what it communicates and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But interestingly, for my own personal life, I don't know what it is.
Thank you.
Work assignments, I'm always like I'm on time.
Yeah.
But for like family gigs and everything, like they can even put bets on the fact that I'm going to arrive late. I don't even know what happens. So like today, like I was like, I'm going to be on time. I'm not going to be that guest who is you guys are going to be talking about. Like, do you remember when Angie came? She was just so this and this. I mean,
no need for sugar.
So when I came early, I was like, this is fantastic. I mean, and I'm just feeling so like it's okay.
Like I came here, you were relaxed.
Fine. Yeah, I'm just like it's okay. Like why are people usually so dramatic? It's okay.
Breathe easy.
Yeah, exactly. So people have extended me so much grace like in the last couple of years. It's now yours.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
Thank you.
Don't worry
Thank
about
you.
it.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful that you are gracious. Gracious Angie.
Thank you.
That should be
Thank
your
you
new
very
name.
much. Thank you.
Gracious
I'll take it.
GA.
I will take it.
Yeah.
I will take it.
I like the tattoos.
Thank you. Thank
How
you very
many
much.
tattoos do you have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tattoos.
5.
5 tattoos.
This one is
So I have 2 here. My kids' initials.
Yeah.
So Ariel Anodiwanashe and her date of birth. Then my son Yeshua William, his date of birth. That was the first one I got.
Yeah.
And then I have Soli Deo Gloria here for the glory of God alone.
Yeah.
And then I have Grace upon Grace.
See, Grace.
Yeah. And then here is Holy.
Holy. Your
Yes.
heart.
Yeah. Well, my being.
Oh, your being.
My being is holy.
Your
Yes,
whole being.
my whole being is holy. Hallelujah. Yeah. Yeah. So depending on where I'm going, they will either be visible or,
Yeah.
you will never know.
There can actually be good conversation started.
Exactly. That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's why I think they're important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this church. Sorry, Endelia, cause?
Oh, yeah, no. But I was just thinking about this 2-3 weeks ago. I went for an interview with, I think we'd say like the Sanhedrin.
Sanhedrin.
of 2024.
Who are those?
The who's, the ones who are not, they're not thinking that this is conversation starting. This one is more like, do you know the Lord Jesus?
Yeah.
Yes, as your personal savior. Do you really? Are you
Do you know
sure?
that God is against tattoos
and things? And so, in as much as I think it's conversation starting, and there's a lot of Gen Zs especially, and younger people even our age, who have been able to be ministered to, and this has been the entry point. But for that particular interview, I'm telling you, I wore a dress that was all the way up to here, so this one was covered, and then I had a sleeveless
long
dress.
sleeves almost.
It was so hot. This Nairobi weather, how it's been. So it was so hot, but I was like, no, I have to get a coat. I have to get a coat to cover here, and it was very long. But I was just looking proper. And then usually I do my nails like really wild, but I'm calling these my holy nails because I had to do them like subtle. So, but I don't know how I felt after that interview. I was just like, this is so not me. But I'm needing to like appear a certain way so they can give me access. And then now, bam, I can be my true self. Yeah. But so it's just been interesting. It's been interesting.
I remember one time, 2 examples. First, we went to a school. About you now, how you conceal yourself. So one time we were invited to this many years ago, just like in the initial stages of Kubamba. And so we invited to this high school in Nakuru. And the teacher, the CU patron, was so happy to have guys of Kubamba go in. And of course, the guy who made the connection with the school is proper, guy in a nice dress shirt and, office pants, trousers. It's good for Kenyans.
Yeah.
Pants are something else.
Yeah.
So trousers, very decent. So the teacher, of course, she knew about Kubamba and she was happy to have us there. So we go to the school on a Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, we set up, actually 9:30, we were early. We set up nicely for the service to start at 10 o'clock. So I think when we got there, she started processing. First, me niko na dready, have earrings. My dreadlocks are not just black, they have rangi as well. Then she looks at the guys of K Crew, there's Joksi, there's Lenai has dreadlocks. She looks at Gospel Fathers. Akina Samu have dreadlocks, Akina earrings, we all wearing baggy pants.
Oh my God.
So she's processing all this, then we start, and so the students are happy, they're excited, we are connecting with them. In fact, we're even playing Pambio, like praise and worship songs.
Oh.
So miniko pale mazi, Yesu pendo lako ni pendo la ajabu. Hey, she came on stage and stopped. She was like, stop it!
No!
We're like, what did we do? She took the microphone from Lena. I think Lena was on stage at that time. She took the microphone from Lena. She was like, stop. And she starts talking, I invited you guys, and when you came here, I looked at you and I asked myself, surely, did I bite more than I can chew? That mission ended there. There.
Like, it was not like, okay, you guys put yourself together a little bit and then...
She stopped it there. She didn't care that we are believers. Wow. She didn't care that we love Jesus Christ, that us guys are sold out to the faith. That time, Yani, when she's canceling, then she continues talking about how she's experienced us. She's like, I went to the back and I saw one of them, cleaning his mindiras. Mindiras are earrings. I saw one of them cleaning his mindiras. And that's when she said, now, sure, did I bite more than I can chew? So, when the first guy went in, was like you, rocking up,
Exactly, all covered up.
And then now, the real people come out behind it. And
she's like, no, catfish.
And at that time, I was like, I can understand, it was still very new.
And probably they'd had like preachings beforehand. Maybe the students had even asked, is it okay for us to have dreads? Is it okay for have earrings? They're like, no. In Christianity, we don't do those things. And then...
the real.
Here they are, presented.
The gospel gangsters.
Oh my God. Local edition.
The local edition.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
She was like, yeah. But about your tattoos. So this one time I went to Houston and maybe like my first time there or maybe the second time. And I was invited to go for this church. It's called Ecclesia in Houston, downtown Houston, in Tao. And the lead pastor is a guy called Chris C. And when I went there, it's a church that has embraced the arts. And so I was there for 2 weeks. And so the first Sunday I go to that church in the evening. It was an evening service. The service was in the evening. So they were talking about how, man, as we get ready for Easter, we're thinking about how we can be able to engage people. So what as a church we're thinking about doing, over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about how, we can use art, to share the gospel. And so for us, our expression of art for this Easter is tattoos. So it's, yeah. So as you know, so as a congregation, I have a tattoo. I love tattoos. And I know that some of you would like to get a tattoo and you've always wondered, what kind of tattoo can I get? So with our creative team, we've come up with these different expressions of tattoos that talk about the stages of the cross.
Wow.
And so if you ever want to get a tattoo, next week on Sunday, we're going to have a demonstration, an open time. We won't do a regular church service. We're just going to open it up and we'll have all these different expressions of tattoos that we've come up with. I think there were 10 stages of the cross. So those are like 10 different tattoos. You can bring your unbelieving friends who love tattoos to come and maybe they might choose one of these tattoos. And each stage will have a member of our church who's taken up a tattoo and they'll talk about why this tattoo is significant for them. There's a conversation starter. Can you believe it?
Wow.
This was like...
That is mind-blowing.
Incredible. So I went for the church service the following Sunday and they had...
Did you get one?
No, I really want to get one. I really do want to get one. So they had these amazing tattoos. They were talking about the different stages of the cross. And it was, I think that was very innovative.
And I can just imagine, like, I'm just feeling like that's such a holy moment.
Yeah.
Because it's such a different expression of, like, we box God, too much. Too much. He has to work in this particular way. But that's so phenomenal. We give people like, what do you call this? These booklets, the tracts. This, we train them, this is the tract, go out. But this is another kind of tract.
For spiritual laws.
Yeah, for spiritual laws.
Yeah.
Gospel of John or something like that, know? But this is another kind of tract.
Yeah.
It's just a different medium.
And it's powerful.
Wow.
Like, honestly, tattoo is a good conversation starter because guys, someone will always be wondering, hey,
exactly.
Kunaendaje, what's the tattoo about?
Yeah.
And then one of your kids is called Yeshua, which is so deep.
Can you imagine? When I gave him that name, I did not know it was deep. Let me just tell you that. I did not know it was deep. So I have 3 sisters. So we've just been all 4 girls. And so my parents, of course, they didn't have a son.
Yeah.
But they always said if they had a son, they would name him Joshua. So when I had my son, I was like, oh, okay. Here you go, guys. Here's your son. But then I was like, but Joshua just seems so mainstream.
Yeah.
So it was Joshua. So I was like, okay, let's
Joshua.
Exactly. I was like, how can we make it, spice it up? I was like, okay, maybe let's translate it to Swahili. Then I was like, Yeshua. I'm like, no, people will be like, I've tried too hard. Like, it's definitely, it was just Joshua. Then I was like, Yeshua. Yeshua sounds nice. Guys, what do you think? Yeshua sounds nice. That's
you didn't even know?
I had no idea. Until much later. People were like, wow, that's just a deep name. How did you get... No. Maybe it was deep on God's side because he was like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
But I had no idea.
But actually, Yeshua is Jesus.
Yeah.
You've set a bar for that young kid you need to live up
I know. I always remind him, what does your name mean? So what is the calling on your life?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, mom. It's like, chill. So relax. But interesting, he also wants a tattoo. I think he said was it like a year ago? So now he's going to be 16 this year. And one time he said, like he's been drawing. You know how when you're a high school, a teen, you draw with pens on your hand, just different things. Sometimes it's like a girl's name. I'm just like, please do not get a girl's name on your hand or anywhere on your body, please. Unless it's my name.
That's
because I'll always be your mom.
Could be Angie.
Yeah, but then if it's for a girl, no. Let's relax. So, but I told him, my personal conviction on tattoos, of course, there's the biblical context, and that's how people usually just like, no, God said no. But it's not, it was contextual for there. But I personally feel like for all of these tattoos, my kids' names, because they're my kids, I love them. But all of these others, I've felt like a strong connection to like that message in a particular season, And so, I told my son that, getting a tattoo is not wrong in and of itself. But like Paul writes, everything, we can do anything, but not everything is profitable, And so if this thing is not right for you to do and you do it, it's sin. And the reverse is also true. And I told him what I believe is that anything that I put on my body, if it's a tattoo, whatever, it's something that's speaking over me constantly. This is, if I put, for the glory of God alone, this is something that is being declared over me or that is reminding me and challenging me. So if you put some random weird thing that you've just seen on anime somewhere, that thing is speaking over you. It is continuing to testify. It's continuing to, some people might be like, that's too much over spiritualization. But that's
yeah.
But I'm like, that's the reality about it. And so it's not about get the tattoo, not get the tattoo, but are you feeling God's freedom to get this particular tattoo? But do you also know that it's going to stick with you? The same way that people will say Angie, and whatever the meaning of my name is, they're speaking that over me. The same way I believe that tattoos open sort of that, lack of a better word, portal.
Portal.
Spiritual exchange
These
place.
guys understand that.
And that is constantly speaking over you. And so he's like, oh, okay, in that case, let me think about it for a few more years. I was like, okay.
Oh, that's good.
That's fine.
You get him to delay a bit. So
Exactly.
that when he's older.
Yeah, so then he'll have thought about, this what.
I can imagine how many guys have names of their boyfriends or girlfriends who they had as a tattoo.
Imagine.
And then they broke up. Ili umefunzwa kwao.
And every time you look at it, you're just mad. You're just mad.
Oh man! But the other thing I wonder is, sometimes as Christians say that tattoos are unholy. You're not supposed to have a body. I don't know if it's body piercing. Like having your body printed on, printing on your body. I'm like, I feel sometimes we choose certain parts of scriptures to apply in our lives and then leave others. Because at the same time ukituambia kuhusu tattoos, tumeambiwa wanaume msinyoe side za nywele.
Exactly. Yeah.
So sisi watu tutembee mazina.
Exactly. It's not just no shave November. It should be your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people cherry pick certain parts and say that this is definitely bad.
This one is definitely bad.
And this is not bad. This is presentable.
Exactly. I don't know why we do that. I mean, we do that. The whole practice of Christianity is just paradox and oxymorons left, right, and center. So because it's like, okay, I mean, in the New Testament, it's always talking about, the fact that there is no Jew, Gentile. But then you come into a space and it's very clear that here, women, please teach the children and go to women's ministry kind of thing. We can't possibly receive anything from God from a woman.
Yeah.
And yet we'll still preach this particular sermon. Or things like what do you call it? This tattoo business that we're talking about.
And guys will come up with whole sermons about
whole sermons and whole doctrines, a whole church thing about it.
It's evil. You're opening up yourself to evil spirits. Alafu umeandika nini kwa mkono? For the glory of God.
For the glory of God. Hey. But then it will be like a whole series of, but which God?
Yeah.
Which God? She has not really said.
She has not clarified.
She has not clarified. And that's how it starts, and that's how this, and usually when I go and speak to, like, especially because I feel very called to like Gen Z and, so young adults, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I feel very drawn. So anytime I come into a space, I'll usually tell them, okay, guys, first and foremost, I'm not your typical pastor. So number one, I have dreads. I have tattoos. Yeah. The way I speak is just not... Good morning and praise the Lord.
Yeah.
This morning, I am grateful that my voice is just, it's much. I'm just much, know. But God has chosen to use me and call me and, allow me to in these spaces with my muchness, and I find that in a huge way, it usually drops people's defenses, it bridges those or destroys those barriers very quickly. And I'm able to access places that people are not able to with their suit and tie, with their all covered up, everything. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but to the people that we have been called to, the different sectors of society and the generation, we must be able to enter there.
But why do we need to justify ourselves, honestly? Why? Why do
because some of the gatekeepers, are... Sorry to say.
I've heard that word so many times and I do not like it.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are the gatekeepers now? What don't they talk to gatekeepers size? Like, we have a lot of jargon we pick up from the Old Testament. And... again, it's the thing for cherry picking.
Yeah.
We're like, this is a good term, that we can be able to run with. But like, if you're going to apply the Old Testament.
Apply it completely.
Completely.
Everything.
Yeah. Go the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. The things we're eating, the things we're not eating.
Yeah. Kimbia nazo 100%.
Yeah.
So don't take some things, alafu seme, these are qualified, these are not qualified, alafu you want to still talk about grace. I'm like, if it's grace 100%.
Exactly.
If you want to live according to the law 100%.
Yeah.
Lakini as you cannot
We can't mix
try
them.
and apply both of them.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
work that way in God's kingdom.
Yeah. And we make it so hard for people who are seeking, or people who even have been, but they're struggling. We make it hard for people to actually just enjoy life in God, or even give themselves to God, because I mean, we put so many things. I think Paul was talking to the Galatians when he says, "You foolish Galatians."
Yeah,
you know, he's just like, yeah, who bewitched you?
Yeah.
You know, because he's like, why are you adding
AKA
something?
nani aliwaroga?
Ni nani, point them out. And then he goes on to say, let them be emasculated.
Yes.
You know, yeah, because it's like, why are you adding extra things? I mean, it's already just the practice of just, you know, abandoning the kingdom of darkness, coming to the kingdom of light. It's already such a gift of grace, but it's also hard automatically. I mean, because you've been thinking for yourself, and not thinking for yourself necessarily, you've been doing things your own way. And then now you have to do things this other way. And it's like, okay, so I'm, you know, giving up certain things. But on top of that, to lay on top of people these extra rules and regulations, you can't do this, you can't.
This is what Jesus Christ was saying. We're teaching the doctrines of the traditions of men as though they're doctrines of God.
That's it.
Tumekelea vitu zingine mazi, we think, you know, you have to be in a certain way to belong to God's kingdom. It's like, for example, we think the guys who wear suits are holier than, you know, let's say
sleeveless,
mtu ameingia na t-shirt,
exactly,
amevaa kofia, you know, ama mtu ameingia na ka sleeveless, ama vest, that person is less holy than someone who's wearing a suit. But we forget the guys who commit the biggest crimes no amevaa suit. Oops. Anyway, not to hate on guys who wear suits. It's okay for you to wear a suit. That suit does not make you any more holy than a person who's dressed in a vest.
Exactly.
You know, or someone who's rocked in a t-shirt and shorts. And flip-flops. Party.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody who reads the Bible on their phone.
Yeah.
Or somebody who has a hard copy, thick Bible. You're not any holier.
How many people are still carrying, you know, you carrying your Bible with you?
Yeah, and you shame the rest of the people.
Yeah,
you shame them.
Like, but we have it here. And the beauty about having it on the phone is I have different versions.
Exactly.
And this is much easier to carry.
Yeah.
And I'll still read the same word that you're reading.
Exactly.
Anyways.
We're always trying to hierarchize everything. Everything in Christianity, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How holy you are, how big your sin is compared to mine.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, did you see this one has done this and this? And yet there you are, stealing tithe, you know, or whatever it is. You know, just appearing to be one version of... man. Sometimes God must just look and be like, okay, let's try again tomorrow. Let's try again.
I don't think we have many.
Again.
Sometimes, you know, there's a time when, you know, in the 16th century when Martin Luther was coming out and, you know, the Reformation of the church. And I think it's like we need to have a reset button as well. Today, kwa sababu tumejekelea vitu mob sana. Which are really not scriptural. But we think that those things are, you know, scriptural, and we've added baggage on top of people's backs. And Jesus Christ says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. By the time he's talking about that, it's because the Pharisees had wekelead all these things that many people have to do to feel holy. And do you know the reason why they were doing this, Angie? Is because one of the reasons is, there are many, but maybe one of the key reasons is because, so the Greco-Roman culture, which is Hellenistic, sindio, ilikuwa imeingia so much into Israel. So the only way they could try and separate themselves is by going the other extreme. And, you know, they'd come up with all these things to separate themselves and to make themselves look holy. But none of those things mattered. That's why Christ is saying, come to me, all who are weary and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. You know, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. It says, learn from me. You know, learn from me. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. And then today, we've done the same thing again to make a vitu mob. You know, walking ya kwa church mazina kamini. Na say maybe wajio una nguo ingine. Tunakupatia leso kwanza. Very quickly. It's like, how dare you? It's a problem. The only way you can fit in here, you have to be in a certain way. And I'm like, by the time Mary Magdalene was going and, you know, breaking down before Jesus, carrying that alabaster, the guys were saying, if you only knew who this woman is, you'd not allow her near you. If you were really who you think. If you're a prophet, huwezi mkubalisha. But those are the kind of people that he loves.
Exactly. Like the ones who are coming just as they are.
Ah, man.
Without anything, extra. And I think that's probably why so many people are deconstructing in their faith. Because it's all these things, like many people, of course, there are people who go the other extreme and it's just like, okay, now you've lost the plot.
Yeah.
But for many people, it's that either I've been brought up in a Christian family or I've been a Christian for a while. But there's so many things. Like this thing it's not looking like scripture. It's not looking joyous. It's not looking, it's work.
It's not freeing.
Yeah, it's work.
It's not life.
I enjoy more time. Like when I'm hanging around non-Christians or just people who just are not pressuring me in that way, I'm finding that I'm a lot more rested. And I'm just a lot more myself than being around people who have professed Christ. And so it's like, that disconnect, I mean, it can only go on for so long.
Yeah.
At some point, you'll just be like, but why am I pretending? Like that whole thing. I'm an adult. Who's going to beat me?
Yes.
Why do I have to stay here? Why do I have to keep performing? Why do I have to? And then you just find people just saying like, I don't go to church anymore, or I just don't. I'm just me and God.
Yeah.
Or it's just me and this. And sometimes we're so quick to no. The Bible said, do not give up. The meeting together
of brethren.
And you know what? That's how you start losing your fire. And a single wood is removed from the fire. You go and become.
Hey, I see. The jargons.
Hey. Christians, let's do better. So just all of those things, instead of, let me listen.
Yeah.
Let me find out. Oh, okay, that's how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more. Okay. And then before I even start to advise you and things, let me pray.
Yeah.
Let me just pray, like for you. Yeah, and just, so that God can, help you unpack all those things and hopefully, be able to come back.
Let's enjoy the newness of life. I mean, the Bible says that where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. Yes. In fact, it's by saying God is Spirit. And where the Spirit of God is, there's liberty. There's freedom. It's for freedom that Christ has set you free.
Yes.
So, kwa nini utakujiingiza why do you want to take yourself back into bondage?
Exactly.
And like you're saying, there are many people who say they don't have an issue with Jesus. But we make it so difficult for them to be able to enjoy this fellowship with Jesus Christ because of our do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
And yet we forget that anyone who's in Christ Jesus has the Spirit of God in them. Who convicts.
Exactly.
Who convicts. If we just allow people to be able to thrive and enjoy the newness of life and the life that they have in Christ.
Man.
Most of the shit that's to Konaza are easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we also want to over-police people. I went for...
Yeah.
That's the problem. I hope. Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. Moses created this space, and
it's
so
a safe
now,
space.
Yeah. And so I'm just. These are things that just really.
Let me put a disclaimer. The opinions that Angie puts forward, they are not a representation of this.
Wow, way to disown me. This is exactly how Jesus was betrayed. It's like, yeah. Okay, no, the things he said now, no, that's just him. That's him by himself. Yeah. No, that's cool. No, we were not with him. I don't know him. I don't know this man. But I think just we what was my train of thought now? Where was I going? I was going somewhere. Where was I going?
For over policing people.
Oh yes. This conference I went to towards the end of last, I think it was October, November.
Yeah.
It was a pastors and church workers conference.
You went for a pastors and church workers you went in deep.
Apana. Ni Mungu ananiwekanga kwa hizi spaces.
I'm yet to be invited.
We'll invite you for the next one. I mean, now that you're in that path, that academic path of, that those are the places where I get invited for those things. And I'm always in those places like, okay, I'm just Angie. This is Pastor so-and-so, Bishop, whoever. I'm just Angie. I'm Angie and I'm glad to be here. So one of the things they talked about is, I think they were saying how churches sometimes organize, churches and pastors, now leaders in church, organize so many events within the church. So we're always keeping Christians in the church. I mean, we're not supposed to be just spending time looking inwards. We're supposed to be living out there, influencing, being salt and light. But we put so many programs in place. So on Monday, there's this thing in church. This other one, the next day. I mean, literally Sunday to Sunday, there's an activity happening in church. But it's not necessarily from a place of equipping the saints for the work of ministry, which the Bible says. But we're keeping them there because we don't trust that if they spend enough time, like more time in the world, that they're going to remain on the straight and narrow. Yeah. And I was like, that is horrible.
It is.
Because that means either we don't have faith in God to be able to preserve people. We don't have faith in the word that we're preaching or the trust in the word that we're giving people to be able to empower them. And I think that translates not just from pastors and leadership of the church, but even us as Christians, even as I'm seeing somebody else, I want to tell you, don't do this, because I don't trust that you're hearing the Spirit for yourself, that you're going to be able to say no, resist temptation and things like that. Instead of me just encouraging you to, spend more time with God because God is going to convict you. I want to be able to put rules in place that here we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. If you do this, you're out of the club, you're out of this space, and I think it's horrible. It's horrible because let people hear God. Give people, instead of us policing people, let's give people more opportunities to connect with God for themselves. Teach them how to hear God for themselves. Teach them just what it looks like to obey and the fruit of that. Because people are drawn. I mean, it's not. I think the Bible says it's the goodness of God that leads to repentance. It's not the threat of hell. It's not the threat of these bad things.
Man, that's been used so many times. It should be the goodness of God that attracts people to Him.
Exactly. And when somebody sees your life and they're like, wow, like you're really enjoying your family and your family time. Look, you're spending time, you're choosing to spend time with your family and not do these wild things. And you look so happy and your family is working. I want that. So how did you get there? Oh, okay. So let me copy that. Not just saying, listen, you will be removed from leadership of this church if you're not spending time with your family. I mean,
it's not the leadership in church that gets you to heaven, tafadhali.
Exactly.
No. Exactly. I don't think that's how God keeps scorecards.
Yeah.
You're His son or His daughter.
Exactly.
Period.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's enough. That's enough. But so as you're talking, in fact, I wanted to ask, because you have a 16-year-old, I do want to come to, to how that is parenting a 16-year-old boy. But as you're talking about how, we're trying to keep people, let me start by, before we go there, let me ask, so we keep this train of thought going. You've talked about how we are afraid of letting people thrive outside the church and we're trying to police people. Sindio, what's your understanding about sacred and secular? Should there be a sacred and secular approach to Christianity? You just have one life to live? One
life. I think all of life is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. We are spirit beings, created in God's image and everything, and we're just having a body experience or in-body experience for a period of time, and then we're going to go. We're going to exit the scene. And so I believe that, even at the beginning of creation, God gives work before the fall. You know how we think about, oh my God, I'm going to work. And it's like work is a punishment, a consequence of the fall. But it's not. God gives work and it's supposed to be enjoyable. He's doing it with God and and so I think that it's supposed to be all together. We live and we do life out of who we are. One of my favorite scriptures is I think it's Psalm 84. Unite my heart to fear your name. So it's just really the prayer of God, give me an integrity of person to be able to live out consistently in every area of my life this thing that is so true about me. I think that, like, for me personally, what sometimes that looks like, or what that has looked like, say, for example, like on social media, I think a number of times I've gotten well-meaning friends, who are, especially in this PR sort of space, they're just like, oh, your content is so amazing and da-da-da-da-da, but why don't you separate it? Like, why don't you do family here and do this? And there's value in that. And there are spaces where maybe I'll just do work only, I'll just do family. But I'm like, this, because I spend so much time on socials and because there are people who I'm aware, who are constantly watching. One of the things that I felt very early on is that I want to show people what it looks like to be a Christian living, like a Christian mom, a Christian employee, a Christian entrepreneur and leader, a Christian family person, and somebody enjoying. Like, what does it look like other than Sunday for you to have God in your center? And so whether I'm just cooking, I'm doing silly TikTok videos, I'm doing whatever, it is still on my bio that this is who I am still referencing God at any point in time, whether I am talking very, very serious HRE things or whatever. Like, God is not a Sunday only affair, and so I think that everything is sacred. Everything is sacred because, God was there at the beginning, and out of who we are in relationship with God, everything else flows.
Absolutely. So we stop, because sometimes we have the habit of thinking that Sunday is my day for God. And then Monday is my day for, Monday to Saturday are my days for work. Or Monday to Friday is my day for work. Saturday is kula happy. Then Sunday is my holy day. Siku yangu ya kuwa mholy.
That's how I took so long. Not took so long. Yeah, I think maybe took so long to get born again. Because I grew up in a Christian family and my mom, she's an ordained minister. But growing up, she was not ordained then, but she was a leader in church and things like that. But I just did not see how God applied Monday to Saturday. Like on Sunday, we were very I had the act.
Yeah.
Like we sat in front. Our family was a well-to-do middle-class family.
Yeah.
And I knew when to raise my hands. I knew when to cry.
Oh,
I knew
you
when
knew
to. I mean, everything. I knew how we move. I knew
You and
everything.
Pitson were in the same WhatsApp group. I remember
Exactly.
Pitson saying the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a perfected art, and then also because at home
You know the language.
everything. I just know when to look like just deeply contemplating. I know how, just literally, it was such a performance, the whole
man.
9. And then because at home, there were things that were a bit difficult, which we were not addressing.
Yeah.
I used to think sometimes like my mom was just, she was just living in this airy-fairy world. Her and God were just like, excuse me, yeah, you and God, can you and God come here and let's handle this situation? Because we're not talking about things that are going on.
Yeah.
And then on Sunday, we're looking really good. So we had daily devotions, we did DVBS, we had
What's
camps.
DVBS for those of us who are not?
Yes, daily vacation Bible school. So every holiday, the church would have like a 1-week thing for kids.
Yeah.
And so we'd meet up with our friends. I think I responded to so many altar calls. It's like, how many want to give the lecture? Me, because I know in the week maybe I've not done something right.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand. But I just knew that God just wanted us to perform.
Yeah.
Like what God really wants is for us to look really good on Sundays.
Yeah.
But like things are happening during the week, but God is not there. And so He's not there. I mean, of course, it doesn't make sense now. But
God is present only on Sundays.
Just on Sundays. I don't know what he does on Monday to Saturday. He must have a very busy schedule,
Yeah.
But Sunday, God is there. He's just there watching. Like, what are you doing? What are you wearing? What are all those different things. And also because I didn't really have like even close relationships with people in church. I was just like, everybody's just like that. So it's not even like nobody's actually asking how we are, how I'm doing, so it's just this glossed over thing, and so I lived a very dichotomous like life. This one was the Sunday only God, and then Monday to Saturday was I was the God.
This is the Sunday Christian.
I was the one.
I love kuna Mkristo wa Monday to Saturday.
Exactly. Nina tawala. Mimi sasa najitawala. And I was tawaling myself very well. I was, I tell people, out of all the firstborns in the world, I think I was the worst firstborn to ever be presented to earthly parents. Because my parents must have just sat so many times like, God, what did we do to you? Like, why is this one the one? I didn't know my dad would say things like, but you're the firstborn. I'm just like, I didn't choose it.
Yeah, I didn't ask for it.
That sounds like a you problem. It's not a... I don't know how I can help you. Because I was just like, but it's the truth.
Oh, man.
So I was really, really just, because I was just like, this God doesn't work, then let me figure out how to do it myself.
Yeah.
And so if it was partying, if it was drinking, if it was just being completely rebellious. That was my whole teenage life. Completely. Like me and my mom never used to speak. My dad, there's a time I think my parents separated. My dad used to come home, and me and my second born sister, we lived with my dad at that time. So my dad would come home, let's say at 3, or like I'd be there like maybe half an hour earlier, or like at 2.
Man.
And she's there at 2. At 3, my dad is entering.
Comes in.
And so that was my life, because I was just like, but on Sunday, where am I on Sunday?
Yeah, at the front.
In church, at the front.
Jesus, girl, when do you
Maybe, hallelujah, hands in the air. So that whole thing, continued. But of course, I think by the time I got to, because I got born again when I was 20.
Yeah.
And by the time I got there,
the real one now.
Your kweli sasa. This one was the one for like, now I am in for real. But it was because I had a crisis. I'm in. Sasa ni mimi kabisa. It was a crisis, like a life crisis, because I was trying to do these 2 parts. Jesus says you can't serve 2 masters. It's real. It's real. This is a war for your soul, actually. Like there are many situations I look back, I'm just like, why didn't I die? Like, why am I walking home at like 12:30 a.m.? Just with my friends. We're just walking on the street. We're high now. We're just chilling. We're just walking. And even, I'm just like, but why didn't I ever get killed? Why didn't I ever get knocked? I was just doing such bad thing. I was just ratchet. Definition of ratchet was me. And God was just so gracious and, preserved. But then at 20, I came into like a crisis, because now I got pregnant with my son. And so because I had a pattern of denying reality in terms of my spirituality, and how God was Sunday and this one was there, and we're not talking about things in the family. Do you know, for a full 9 months, I was in denial.
That you were pregnant?
Yes.
But you're carrying this baby?
Yeah. So? So I'm just living my life. I finished high school at that point. I think I was doing like an internship program.
Yeah, it must have been, because you're fresh out of high school at that point.
Yeah. So, but the whole 9 months.
So you were still drinking?
Everything.
Smoking?
Everything. My dad is, a very, very, very good gynecologist, obstetrician, top in this country. And he didn't know. I was living with my parents.
What?
Yeah. Their room was directly opposite mine. They did not know for 9 months. 9 whole months.
But your body's changing.
Yeah, but clothes, Mose, come on. Clothes.
You were those guys for baggy things.
Yeah. I mean, and then during the week, I'm sort of like at work. And so then it's only like Sunday we're really hanging out.
So
when we go to church.
Your body's changing. Everything in you is changing. Like, you just choose to ignore the fact that you're pregnant.
Yes.
Wow.
Because I have perfected the art of separating this part and this part. Like,
wow.
I don't even know that. I mean, only looking back is when I'm like, oh, no, that's a real problem. Because even now, there are ways in which my mind automatically, like when there's a crisis, I can very quickly shut off that part and just continue to do things. And then I have to remind myself, no, Angela, this is an issue. You need to deal with it.
Yeah.
But I have built this...
That's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, exactly. Coping mechanism to be able to separate and almost just be like, it's in a compartment, it's closed, it's not real, it's not happening. Wow. And so leave it there. But my dad says, on 2 or 3 occasions, he looked at me and said, he just thought to himself, she looks like she's... Then he was like, no. It's
probably because he's an obstetrician. He's dealt with pregnant women. That's
exactly.
what they do.
But he just thought to himself that he's just seen too many women. So he was just like, of course not. Da, 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 da. So my mom with her prayerness. So like 10 days before I give birth, this giving birth, which I've gone for no clinic. I've got nothing.
Nothing, no prenatal, nothing.
I'm just there, just enjoying my life, just doing things and whatever.
Clubbing.
Kabisa, everything. I'm smoking, like I'm being paid, and things like that. They go to the UK, and so now they're coming back on a Sunday. The night before they come back, the Lord tells my mom, we were just here ministering to the world, and in your house, your daughter is in this particular state, and So the Lord tells my mom
that you're pregnant.
Yes. So they come back, and then my mom asks me, and of course, in my attitude, I'm just like, how dare you? Like, what do you think about me? My God. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, by the time I'm here saying about how we need to reach out to people and they're so far from God. Yeah. I was that person, the person that I'm usually going out to look for, and it was me.
It was you.
It was me.
But the thing is, the audacity of you to ask your mom, how dare you accuse me of
and everything.
Who do you take me for?
Yeah, and this is what you think about me. I mean, I don't even have to stay in this house. I don't even have to
think I'm loose. I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
But internally, I'm just like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. At least somebody knows and I didn't have to tell them. But on the outside, I am just with this confront. So she's like, oh, okay, no, I just thought that. She said, okay, if you want to talk to me about anything, it's fine. I'm like, yeah, fine. So I even bang the door. But she goes and I just write a letter. I'm like, hi, Mom. Yes, it's true. So I slide it under their door that night. It's a Sunday evening. Then on Monday morning, Kai and my dad call me to their room. So on that side, and because I was such a rebellious child, I was so used to these lectures all the time. It's always just me. Okay, we want to talk to you about this. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But this time I'm just there like, oh God, they're just going to finish me. Yeah. And so they're like, okay, so tell us what's happening. So my dad asks, okay, so have you been going to appointments? I'm like, no. So do you know how? No. Do you?
Oh,
nothing.
Man. Not even him. It feels like he's failed even more.
Exactly. So I'm sitting there waiting for my judgment. And then my parents say, so what do you want to do? We want you to know we love you and we support you.
Wow.
I'm just looking at them like, why?
Wow.
Exactly.
You don't deserve it.
Exactly. Completely. And so, so now, of course, I go for clinic. The baby is completely fine. He's perfect, like a ball of health, pure. Sometimes I look at my son and I'm just like, if this is not a walking miracle, there are people who do all the things.
The things you've exposed him to.
Exactly. People who do all the right things. And for whatever reason, in God's sovereignty, he just allows, maybe the child to have a particular difficulty. Yeah. But me, who has intentionally gone, I'm standing in the middle of a highway, quote unquote, and I'm not being hit by cars, in this particular situation. And so he's born, and my parents are there supportive. They've bought all the things, Of course, they love this boy because, it's a boy, and grandparents and whatever. But through the period of time, already even when he was born, I was just like, I don't even want this kid because I've built no relationship with this child. But through, a series of events, so much went on there to go into right now. But over the next 2-3 months, so my mom, God tells my mom, listen, I want you to extend love and light and life to her. Mm-hmm. That's how you're going
love,
to do this.
life
and life. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
The love of God, the life. So life in terms of doing life on life, just open up and share your own struggles, your own things. Then for the first time, I saw my mom as a human being because remember I kept saying that she was this spiritual.
She's doing.
She's just there. She's like an angel. She's deputy Jesus somewhere there. I mean, like, so if we have the Godhead and then this Godhead plus mom, they're just there. She's like a consultant there at the top or something. Because she just, like, I just couldn't imagine, like, did she go through struggles, like, with sexuality, with dating, with what? I mean, so she started sharing her life, just sharing more about her struggles. I mean, before she got married, even in her marriage journey and whatever. And I was like, oh, she's a person.
Yeah,
she's also just
human.
depending on God to help her. So I was like, okay, so there's the life, then the light of God's word, just sharing God's word and da-da-da-da. And through that process now, somewhere in that, that's how I got born again.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I started my journey in all of that. Mm-hmm. And so what I think how I entered there was the whole thing about the dichotomy, just separating the sacred and the secular. It's that when people can't see the relevance, the applicability of this faith, of this gospel, of God in life, then automatically it's like, okay, depending on who you're around, you have to pretend. If you don't have to pretend, then you don't need to be part of it because it's hard. It just doesn't make sense. Like, you just don't see, does God actually care about if I'm having a fight with my spouse? Does God care about if my child is rebellious? I can't pay fees. Like, how, don't just say God is Jehovah Jireh, but like, how is God with me right now here? How is he working things out? Like, somebody has died. What does that look like practically for God to be here? How do I get strength in this moment right now? How do I get all these practical things? I think personally, just based on my journey and whatever, I feel such a strong call and conviction to demonstrate to people what it looks like to be that whole thing, that integrity of person, so that people can see it's actually possible to have fun in God. Like, it's fun. Like, just it's awesome, and not just the fake fun of, like,
let's even say people can see you fall flat on your face with God.
Yes.
Because it's not like he's away from you when you fall.
Exactly.
When you make those silly mistakes. He's right there with you.
Exactly.
How do they get to experience the grace of God happening in your life? The restoration, or that love that we talk about.
Exactly.
Because this love is very real.
Yeah.
And we think, and I think that maybe that's why many people struggle with the whole knowing that you cannot say that there's sacred and secular, especially for a believer. You have one life. It's not like you have two lives.
Exactly.
Like you're saying about the dichotomy, it's like we're living a dichotomous life. No, you have one life to live.
Yeah.
And so people need to see God in your life through everything.
Yeah.
The highs and the lows, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly.
Because we all have that.
Yeah.
And even when it comes to work, there are people who will work, in the church. It doesn't make them any more holier than someone who's a Christian working in a pub.
Exactly.
Did I say that? Please edit it, tafadhali.
No, keep it in there. Keep it in there. That person who is working in a pub who was debating, okay, should I leave now? Should I? No.
Because God is God everywhere. And, sometimes we choose to think, like you were saying earlier, ni kama kuna places God hayuko.
Yeah.
But God is omnipresent. And that's one of the things I've come to appreciate about God, that he's with me in the club. He's with me in the church. When I go to the bathroom, it's not like he's not there.
Exactly. Like, God is just like, oh.
Yeah, this is too much. No, he is omnipresent. And I like using the scripture for Psalm 139 where David says, where can I flee from your presence? Yeah. Even if I was to make I have chosen to make my bed in hell.
Yeah.
Even there, your spirit will find me.
Yeah. Imagine.
Even there, your spirit will find, because God's spirit is everywhere.
Yeah.
God is spirit.
Yeah.
This massive universe, you think that you tend to the farthest part of the universe, whatever the guys for NASA are discovering now, even there, God is.
Yeah.
It's his presence, it's his hand that's sustaining the planets and making them move.
Exactly.
In him we live, we move, and have our being. So, at what point do we ever think that we can say, as believers, that we can separate our life and say that, God is there for Sunday and this is for me the rest of the week? People should be able to see God through our lives, period.
Yeah.
And then they get to appreciate that, be like, oh man, I saw Mose falling, but I also got to see God restoring Mose.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Or Mose going through a difficult time.
Yeah.
And him being at peace.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, that's because
it.
That's it. That's how God is.
Yeah.
That the guy you see in church is the same guy you meet in the streets. Is the same guy you'll meet in the classroom.
Exactly.
Is the same guy you'll meet in the office. You're one person.
Yeah.
There's not two of you.
Exactly.
You're not going to start talking holy. Sorry guys, stima zimepotea. So the lighting may change.
So this is our true color
Yeah.
now.
And by the way, let me say, I offered Angie a coffee akasema hataki, but
Hapana, huku nimekuja nimenyimwa chakula hata ni kama nikuna fasting and prayer na wakuniambia
this is the secular side of her. The
Lord is
sacred
still
one.
working on
The
me.
sacred one anarudi. But do you want water, by the way?
Oh, maybe water, yeah.
Yes,
Water would be
yes.
good.
Because najua, hey, unaweza ongea. Your gift uko nayo.
Nakwambia. And it's not, I told you, it's like not prim and proper, like, okay, two words per minute and then it's a lot of words. It's a lot of words coming out.
Let me give a shout out first to this restaurant because, they're so good. I want to say thank you to Susan. She's the proprietor of this restaurant. It's called Grind and Groove. It's such a nice restaurant up at Karen. Just next to the DP's residence.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
You like
very,
it?
very beautiful.
Yeah. So let me ask you then. You've had that relationship with your mom as you're talking and you're saying,
she ended up being my best maid, by the way, at my wedding.
Your mother?
Yes. I didn't even have any other maids. It was just my mom was my best maid. From the time of just, we're not talking the whole of my teenage years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God just restored and now we're just...
You guys are besties now. BFFs.
Kabisa.
That she's even your maid of honor.
Imagine.
Yeah, we call them best maid.
Yeah, but maid of honor, yes.
There was a movie called, was it Monster-in-Law?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
In place of mother-in-law.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm telling
you. I have to give it up to you guys.
That one, yeah.
That's proper restoration, man.
Completely.
That's proper. So here you are. Your mom is like super holy and, you're saying like she was like Jesus' deputy. That's so funny, man.
Mom, I mean it in the best possible way. Just disclaimer.
Oh, my kids don't say that. So, does Yeshua think of you the same? And
I don't think so.
And what have you done to be intentional? Like, you're a single mom now, and you have two amazing kids. You love Jesus, and you've had your issues with your mother because of her faith in Jesus Christ. And you're like, man, she's like in the Holy of Holies, a connect na sisi wengine. What have you done? First, does your son see you like that? Or what have you done to be intentional to make sure that what you experience with your mom is not what Yeshua and what's your daughter's name? Nashe. Experience of you. Yeah.
Well, he definitely does not see me like that. I think... Yeah, I think that...
thank you very much.
And I think it's both the fact that I experienced it, but I also know very many people, millennials, who had parents who had that sort of issue, with regards to, you're just doing these things because we do these things.
Actually, more for her. Mi niko na kahawa bado. Yeah.
Asante. Yeah, so many people who experienced that, so it was like you're going to church and you're doing these things. You're not even told why you're not supposed to drink, why you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do this. You're just told this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so for many people, millennials, there's that sort of issue. And I think because I struggled with it so much, I was just like, this is not the way anybody should experience God. And so for me, the Yeshua definitely doesn't see it like that. I mean, I think God has given us such a good relationship. Sometimes he's like, Mom, remember you're the mom here. You're the mom. So you'll come to the room, it's like, who's the adult now? Who's the adult?
Yeah.
Mom, come on. Like, don't, So we have a really great relationship. But one of the things that I've done is being able to invite them to the quote unquote BTS of my life and my relationship with God. So, for example...
I have so many questions, by the way.
Please, all of them. So for example, when we're having like devotion, so we do the things that I saw us doing growing up. We have devotions and things like that. But I've told them repeatedly, that the thing that you need to be able to take away from this life is being able to know God for yourself. Like, even if I was to go, even if I was to die, if I was to do the thing, the person who will help you will be God. It's not about education. In fact, many times I'll tell my kids, what does mom want you to be? Then Yeshua said, me, I feel like this week I'll be a makanga. Me, I feel like this week I'll be a footballer. I'm like, and what will I be? The proudest mom of a makanga, the proudest mom of a footballer. Because I'm like, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you go. It doesn't matter, even if you decide you're going to be a housewife forever. That's fine. As long as your relationship with God is it, because he'll tell you what you should do. He'll help you in different situations. It's not about how much money I leave them. It's that that if I'm not there, wherever they are, they can call out to God. Just being able to remind them at any point in time, call out to God. So sometimes with my BTS, it looks like during devotions, if there's something that's stressing me, I will pray about it. I'll ask, okay, today Nash is taking the prayer request. Mom, what's your prayer request? My prayer request is for us to have enough money for fees.
Yeah.
And they'll pray about that. And then when the prayer, I think it even happened this term, when the fees got miraculously paid, by the way, their school fees for this
God. Yeah, that's
term.
awesome, Brandon.
And so I told them, they're like, wow, God answered. As in, like, my son jumped from his bed. God answered. And so they're seeing, it's not like mom has all these things figured out and then so things are just paid. They see when I'm wrestling with God. Or like I'll tell them, man, today at work, somebody made me really upset. Like I'll actually share that. I was just so mad. Then Yeshua will be like, I hope you didn't say that to them. I'm like, no, I didn't say it. But just pray for me to be able to be kind and loving next time.
Yeah.
So they're also like, oh, okay. So even you at your big age, you're still struggling with like patience and peace and kindness and all those things. Yeah, but God is helping me. So they're able to see this is how you navigate these things with God.
That's what's up.
So I've really been trying to do that. There are times I lose keys in the house. I'll be like, guys, help me look for keys. Nasha will say without fail, Mom, have you asked God? She will ask that repeatedly. Have you prayed? She'll make us all stop and pray. A few minutes later, we'll find them. You see, you just took long because you didn't ask God. I'm like, okay, fine. We're overdoing. We are overdoing, but I love it because those moments remind me that, oh, okay, actually, so it's seeping in. Like they're seeing it. They're being able to realize that they can ask God. I think the last example I'll give is, I think a week ago, Yeshua told me that there was a classmate of his, a girl, they'd been talking like the whole day, the previous day. I was just like, I'm like, Yeshua, is that your girlfriend? He's like, no, she's just my friend in class and whatever. So one day he comes, and I think it was the other Friday, or the Thursday, he comes home and he says, my friend Joy is going through a hard time. I'm like, oh, okay. Every time he opens up, I feel like, Angela, calm down.
Yeah.
Don't ruin the moment. Don't look so excited. Don't look too eager. Just, I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, Then he's like, yeah, and she's going through a hard time because her parents are not taking her concerns seriously. She's sharing things that she's struggling with and they're laughing. I think her dad was body shaming her, but he doesn't know. So in fact, even that's what I'm just trying to figure out, like, how do I talk to this other parent? So I said, oh, okay, so what did you do? I just listened to her and then I prayed for her. I was like, as soon as we were done the commission, I called my mom. I was like, Mom, guess what? Guess what Yeshua did? Because I'm just like, wow, as in, okay, like, this thing is actually like going in. I mean, not to say that they're perfect, not to say that they're, we have our moments. Where I'm just like, I'm going to send you back to heaven right now. I'm going to take you back. But seeing those moments, I'm like, okay. So there's a different way to do this. And the way that God is helping me do it is actually making some impact. And I hope, hopefully, in the future, they say, regardless of what you do, your kids might still end up in therapy. Like, I hope in therapy, they'll not just say the bad things. They'll also say, my mom helped me figure this out.
Very, really present.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know being a single mom is not easy, unless it's easy for you.
Oh, it's a lie. It's not easy.
Oh, man. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But, shout out to you for being very present in the lives of your kids. I know it's not easy. So when Yeshua, has he told you he's dating? Is he that open? Amazi?
I know that he's dating. Not because he's the one who told me, but it was one of those conversations where I've just been like it's so awkward for me. I'm just feeling, we talk about all the things. I'm just like, okay, I know I should do it.
Yeah.
But then I'm just like, how do I bring it about? One evening he came home from school. I think it was the end of last term. So it was the end of last year. And he found me just chilling on the bed. And I just started, you sure you have a girlfriend? Like, because I was like, so awkward. I was just like, let me just blurt it out. Then he goes, huh? Then I'm like, do you have a girlfriend? Huh? So it's like he's glitching, but he's trying to gauge, like, how do I answer this? Is this a setup? Like, am I about, is my African mom about to come out? Then I'm like, Yeshua, you've had me. There's nobody else in this room. It's you I'm talking to. You've had my question. Answer my question. Then he's like, yeah, I have friends who are girls. Yeshua. Then usually when I'm mad, like I speak between my teeth. I'm like, sure. Then he's like, okay, yeah, there's a girl in my class. So I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So what do you like about her? Well, we've been friends for a while. I'm like, yeah, how long is a while? Just in high school. I mean, a while is, how long is that? Like, for like last 2 years, and we have many things in common. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. All right. So, yeah, so how are things going? I mean, can I meet her at some point? Can I come to school? Because the school is like right behind our house.
Yeah.
So I'm like, can I just come and like say hi to her? Please don't, mom. Please don't. I'm like, I'll just like to get to know her. I was like, no, please, I'll tell you when you can meet her. Then I said, oh, okay, that's nice, but just remember to treat her with respect.
Yeah.
And then we also have this thing where, oh God, Yeshua, I'm not charming. But we have this thing. So he has a phone, right? He got his phone when he was 15. Because we're just like boundaries and stuff.
Yeah.
So we have this thing where at any point in time I can ask for the phone.
Yeah.
And just look through chats and whatever, just for accountability
Yeah.
and things like that. So I was like, yeah, but Yeshua, I've also seen on your phone, like there's some other girls who, might think, there's something. Then he's like, oh no, I'm just talking to them. They're just my friends. I'm like, yeah, okay. But so what happens with girls is that when you start that, so then I started telling him about you. Then I also don't want to be so preachy.
Yeah,
but these verses are all in my head, So I'm just like, you're supposed to treat younger girls as sisters and older girls. And I was like, wait, as mothers, we can't be mothers because you're all the same age. But I was like, yeah, but see, if things don't work out, you also just don't want people to have this reputation that you're just hurting people. Some people can just be friends. I mean, you can like them, but maybe it's not liking them to that extent, but don't explore things with them. He's like, oh, okay. Then I'm like, okay, good chat. Okay. Then he's like, okay, mom, I'm now going to get a sandwich. I'm like, okay.
Oh, man.
And I was like, okay. So that's how far we have gone.
You have to tell me when he comes to talk to you about, sex and things, because you have to have that conversation with him. Man.
Well, that one I've outsourced. I have a fantastic brother-in-law. I have very, very awesome cousins. And sort of like, they all just know, like I usually just, and friends, guy friends. So I'm always just like, yeah, okay, guys, you need to, to have this conversation. You need to do this thing. You need
good.
Yeah. And he also knows. They have. And he also, like sometimes I look at their chats. So I'll see he's messaged one of them and he's saying, they're talking about things that, I'm like, oh, is he ready for that? But they're just having those conversations. So the fact that he has that is awesome.
Because of that age, for many of us, it's, I guess when you're a teenager, you have all these things that are running in you. Right? Sometimes you try to downplay them, and as parents, we forget to talk about these things with youngins.
Sometimes not forgetting. I think it's more.
They just choose to ignore.
No, it's just like awkward. It's just
it's a very awkward moment. But I think I'd rather that conversation starts from home than from anywhere else. Yeah. So at least you know what foundation you're laying for your kids.
Exactly.
So at least they know, your body's going through changes, eco sour.
Yeah.
It happens to the best of us. So it's just how you're able to navigate through this. So I've got to give it up to you for that. Now, here you are dealing with an amazing teenager, and of course now he's in that Gen Z generation. And I know that you are a HR consultant. So mimi niko na Gen Z kadhaa, including the producer of this show.
Oh yeah, shout out to Kate.
Yeah, Kate, she's doing a good job. So have you seen something different about this gen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's prepare the people who are looking for employing these youngins and they do not know them, because this is your world as well. Yeah, you're a HR consultant.
Yeah. Well, I think that interestingly nowadays, many conversations with organizations is, how do I manage my Gen Zs? How do I mean, it's sort of like panic. There's panic across the board. With organizations, just like, how do I manage them? They're rude. In fact, many people will just be like, oh, they're rude, or they're not thinking about the team. They're not doing this. I mean, it's usually a lot of negative narrative. I personally love Gen Zs. Shout out to all Gen Zs watching. I think we have been so conditioned. I think the baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, we are such conformists. We are such conformists. We don't want to inconvenience anybody.
We don't ask questions.
We don't ask questions. I mean, we are such people pleasers. Even the ones who are outspoken, they're still outspoken, but within like some sort of bounds. With Gen Z, they're just like, I don't like it. I don't want to do it. You're not going to make me do it. And even if you're going to make me do it, you will know that I don't like it. I will do it, but you will know that I don't like it. I think it's not all negative. I think it's just different. It's a lot more authentic. Because many millennial conversations around people who are at work, I usually tell people with my HR work, it's about getting people to enjoy and thrive at work and not just survive it. We'll spend 70% of your work life, your life at work, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're employed. And so it should not be nikungangana tu. In Kenya, we like saying that. I'm just, you know how work is. Don't say that. Like if it's not giving you joy, it doesn't have to be perfect. But if it's not giving you joy, please just move to somewhere else. That's what I always find another place, find another space for you to express yourself. And so millennials, in as much as they will not tell their boss what they think or how unhappy they are, you will hear it in their conversations at home with their kids, with their friends. They're just complaining about their bosses, complaining about work constantly. On Sunday evening, you literally have onset of ulcers on Sunday nights thinking about Monday morning. With Gen Z, they're just like, no, we're not going to do that. And so I think one thing that's so awesome about Gen Z is their authenticity.
Yes.
Their willingness to tell the truth about how they feel and what they feel about what you're asking them to do or about this space. So that's one thing which I think is an awesome thing. And if as an employer or somebody who is working with Gen Zs, if you can tap into that, then that's for your own good. You don't want people to just be yes, this is a great show, it's a great this, and it's not. And the numbers are not translating. But if you listen to the Gen Z who had told you at the beginning, you'd have saved yourself a lot of money, a lot of expense. The other thing about Gen Z that I think is really awesome is that many Gen Zs want to connect to something of impact, of purpose. They don't want to just do things for the sake of doing it. So if you can't explain to them why this thing or how this thing connects with some bigger goal, then it's very hard to get their buy-in for the long haul. So when you have these stories of Gen Zs are just quitting, sometimes it's that the role definition or the job or the work you want them to do, whatever, whether it's ministry or whatever, they can't see how that plugs into the bigger why, something that's changing the world, something that's having great impact, and so then you just utilize, bring them in, because sometimes you're just like, this person is very young, I don't need to tell them what the whole business is doing. No, but that's how you're disadvantaging yourself from getting all that you can get from this Gen Z, because they want to understand the big picture and how this is contributing to the country, the economy, the ministry, whatever, to justice and things like that. The other thing about Gen Z is that they really prioritize mental health. Many conversations around, I need to take a mental health day. I need to, take care of myself, self-care, and da-da-da-da-da. Exactly. Which on one hand is awesome because we need work-life balance. Millennials have a problem with work-life balance. And, older generations, because we're just working. It's weekends, you're still picking up calls, you're still, where is the boundary? Gen Z's no. Like, I'm off today, you're not going to find me. Or it will be like, please see, I'm on leave. It doesn't matter if things are burning, I am on leave. So they prioritize that well-being, which I think is an awesome thing. So as you can tell, Gen Zs, I'm just really talking positives first here.
The negatives are coming.
In a very small way. So I think just that prioritizing of their mental health and well-being, I think is a really, really awesome thing. And many organizations don't know how to care for the employees, so they can take a cue from Gen Zs to be like, oh, okay, so it's important for you to have off days. It's important for you to spend time with your family. There's an issue at home. Let's give concession for that. I mean, there's some awesome organizations as employers who will allow that, but for the most part, it's like, stuff it in, like just everybody's going through it. Sometimes you'll go to HRs and they'll just be like, "Apana kila mtu anapitia." It's not just you, it's not just you. So suck it up. You'll deal with that at home. And looking at that. But the difficult thing with Gen Zs sometimes, I have found is that when we're talking about this mental health and prioritizing self-care and things like that, sometimes it can be elevated above the well-being of others and the organization. Selfish. So your words, not mine. That particular comment is not representative of my views and my all I've said is what Angie is thinking. She just doesn't want to say it. Sometimes there could be selfish choices, so you're not thinking about, if I decide to not come into work today, like, who is going to handle my responsibility? Like, life will go on, yes, but it will be harder for the people I've left at work. It will be harder for the business to run because you're not there, and so, that sometimes is a bit of a challenge. Sometimes I think that Gen Z is limited with regards to appreciating how the world works. The thing, previous generations, you went through school, there's not so much social media and comparison and things like that. Sometimes because we spend so much time, or I'm saying we as if I'm a Gen Z, but I feel like a Gen Z. Because you're with them. I tell people my age is millennial. I feel like a Gen Z. Inside, I'm a Gen Alpha, so I'm somewhere in between there. Many times you sort of you're living life through like other people.
Yeah.
You know, so you're seeing things on social media, you're seeing somebody has resigned from their job there. You're just seeing things, but you don't really have and you haven't lived enough life for you to see this is how the world works. The world doesn't work like this. If you decide I'm just quitting my job today, unless you have a really good cushion at home,
you're going to suffer.
You're going to suffer.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't just job hop. You can't just be here 2 months, 3 months. By the time your CV is coming to me as the HR professional, you're a red flag. Your whole CV is red to me. You know, I'm not going to consider you, and you'll be there and there are no jobs, there's no this, and why people are not supporting us. So you start getting entitled, but it's because you have not appreciated this is how the world works. Sometimes we have to actually work and stay in spaces that are not so comfortable. They're not the most enjoyable for some time, so that we can grow in different ways. And they have resilience, have that endurance. We build our interpersonal skills. We build our, there's some skills. You might not be in a job. So to say, for example, you want to become a journalist. And yet, you know, you think that day one, you're going to be news anchor, 9 p.m. news. My friend, it's not going to happen
It's
like
not
that.
how things go,
you know, so and if you go in and you're being told, you know, go and find stories, edit things, and you're just like, this is not me. This is not what I was learning for.
Yeah.
You will leave. You leave there, you'll go to another place, it'll be exactly the same. Unless you start your own station, you know, TV station. It's just not going to be like that. But these processes are important to get you where you want to go and to make you distinguished there. Because at the point where you get in front of a camera, what if something goes wrong? What if you don't have understanding about the thing you're reporting on? Like, you're going to be on stage too soon. You'll be in front of the camera too soon. You'll mess up in such a way that it will hamper your growth going forward. You know, so I think that aspect of Gen Z not allowing the process or not wanting to be in uncomfortable positions for long periods of time sometimes works against them. You know, works against them. You don't want even to be told by people who are older. That's also another thing. Unfortunately, by Gen Zs. You guys have never lived in this time. You don't know this. Okay,
it's like we're living in a different planet.
Exactly.
Us guys are in Pluto. These guys are the ones who are living on Earth.
Exactly. And so I think it works against them, and sometimes it's really hard for employers. Recently, I have been part of a particular organization where all the employees are Gen Z. It's a small team. All of them are Gen Z. But I think the challenges there are very, very different. You know, it's just like, okay, people are not seeing this. Already, this is the work you've been given to do. You're not doing it well, but you want extra concessions. You want extra free time. You want more off days. But it's like, are you not seeing how these two things are connected? Like, you can't have extra time if you're not doing the things you're supposed to be doing. You know. It's a unique space. It's a growth opportunity for older people also. Because we're supposed to love everyone. We can't just decide we're not hiring Gen Zs. But it calls for grace on both sides.
I must say that I do appreciate Gen Zs, especially in light of, I guess, they're more outspoken than we were. You know, we were raised in a time when you're there to be seen, not to be heard. But you'll find that your son probably will say, like, my kids, the things they'll say, I'll be like, man, I'll never say that to my mom or my dad. I'll be dead.
Those would have been your last words. His last words were, why are you asking? Why are you sending me?
So, like, my kids, and then they're alpha now. You know, it's a generation alpha. So, like, they're so outspoken. And I remember one time going for a parents' day for my kids. And, you know, the teacher, one of the reports that the teacher said was, you know, your kids are too outspoken. We're like, it's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. It's a good trait that they have. Let them talk. They let you know what's in their mind. Sometimes it might come out the wrong ways because they're kids, they may not know, but they'll ask you the question, why? That thing for why drives me up the wall. I'm like, I'm your dad. Just do what I've asked you to do.
Because I said.
Stop being disrespectful. Just do it.
And then you come back to yourself later and you're like, I shouldn't have spoken to them like that.
I mean, I'll go back and I'll apologize. But sometimes we do need them to understand the place for authority. But then we'll explain to them why as well. Why it's important we ask them to do the things that they're doing. So I think, you know, as we live in this time, you know, I know there has been a lot of complaints, especially about generation Gen Z, and guys, you just like, you know, you just need to know this is who these guys are. They have no bad intentions. They have no bad motives. We were different from our parents. They'll be different from us. Gen Alpha is another whole new breed. Whole new breed.
We're just figuring them out now.
Oh man, I'm like, I have to unlearn so many things. So many things, Bana. But Angie, I've got to say that, you know, this month, I know the other day it was International Women's Day. And I'm like, the whole month of March, we're going to celebrate mothers and women. So my wife is from the UK. So how she's spoiled, she gets to celebrate 2 Mother's Days.
Yeah.
I always forget the UK one.
Oh, wow. After how many years of marriage?
15.
Oh, gosh.
As in, for real. This is Saidiki hapo.
15 years, that one now.
Saidiki.
It's like, wow, okay.
I think she even gave up on the UK one, which is, for her, that's the important one. Because that's how she's been raised.
Yeah.
Then me, I'm like, kuku it's not a Kenyan thing.
Yeah.
But I've grown up knowing, like in my adult years knowing, Mother's Day is in May.
Yeah. I think it's the first weekend.
Yeah, like
May,
I think the second Sunday of May. Si hata najua.
Yeah.
Lakini but then yao pia haina msimamo.
It's like Easter.
It's like, so yeah, usually I think it has something to do with Easter.
Oh, really?
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's the last Sunday of Lent.
You still don't know.
Yeah, something like that,
But just put like a reminder on your phone. What's up? What's up?
But let me give you your flowers, and just say you are an incredible lady. At least I've had the opportunity of knowing you. Yet I come inspired from a distance, but just also get to know at least the impact that you've had. And just sitting down, first having the conversation with you today, extremely, extremely dope. But then also the work that you've done in HR. We had to come to speak to the Cake Bible study.
That was fun. And not enough time.
Not enough time, not enough time. And just, there's a lot that you can share about HR. A lot that you can share about HR. But I want to give you props and just say you are an incredible lady, incredible woman in our generation.
Thank you.
You're a very open book.
For the church, maybe too open.
Yeah, that's how we need to be. That's how we need to be. We need to keep it real. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a blessing to this generation and even the younger ones who you keep engaging with.
Thank you.
Yeah, I deeply appreciate it.
Asante sana. It's such a privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a privilege. I think I look back, I'm just like, if God preserved me, if I can just speak to one person. In fact, so many times I was telling a friend of mine this morning, I can't believe, you see people, there's so much like church politics or politics in church in general, whether it's for, leadership positions or just to be the one somewhere or doing something. And I'm just like, I can't believe people are fighting for this. Me, I'm just literally any opportunity. Like, I'm just like, wow, God, I can't believe.
Yeah.
Like me, like you have me to speak on your behalf. Like you have me influencing people and being a voice, and every single opportunity that I get to speak to people is such a privilege.
Yeah.
It's such an honor. It's just like, oh God, let me not embarrass you, please.
Yeah.
Thank you, God, for yet another opportunity. Let me steward that well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm so grateful.
And he who's forgiven much loves much. Yeah. When you look back at there's nothing in me that should grant me this privilege to stand in front if it's not for God's grace.
That's just grace.
When you look back, I have a final question for you. So, are you open to dating, or you're just focused on raising your kids?
Well,
I'm asking for brothers out there.
Namba yangu ya simu ya dating ni. No, we're not doing that here. Well, for the longest time, I after my marriage ended, I was just like, wait, God, this thing I did it your way. Everything was so by the book in every single way. And I was just like, Lord, you mean like I can do things in you like properly the right way in every single thing, and it still falls apart. Like this was a whole other dimension of my Christian faith I had to wrestle with.
Nobody had told you about
no
prepared you for something
exactly
like that
so
as
I was just because I was just like, oh, so you mean this is a reality, something that can happen. And one of the things I learned is that God really honors individual will, and he will not push past individual will. He won't force himself. And because you're two people with individual will, if you decide to hold a position that God is not in, he will allow you to make your decision and whatever. And so now, coming to terms with that, afterwards I was just like, hey, let me just take time, me and God, and heal and have God explain that to me, and sort of, so that I don't go around teaching a doctrine that is my own from my own experience, but really this is what I truly feel God's word says, and where my position is. So a long time I wasn't open to dating because I was just like, I don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. That's not what I feel is the right thing for me, and so I just decided no, and so it was not even a thing I was not even just like anti-dating. It's just that I was not focusing on it. I was just like, I just want to focus on me, God, work, my kids, ministry, whatever. But then God, you know, through how he does things, he sort of like opened up my heart again, you know. And so yeah. Now I'm open to dating. And it's been an interesting journey so far.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Guys, you can holler at me. I'll put you through.
Filter them well.
Oh, yes.
Filter them well.
Oh, yes, Bana.
Yeah.
But, you know, thank you for being an open book and allowing us to have these conversations. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man. We need to do more
honored.
now. Now, the next one we need to have is about HR and people understanding this next gen. And we can talk about how do they, you know, people are broke today. You know, what opportunities do guys have?
Yeah.
I'd really want to have that conversation with you.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, and see how we can be able to. Can we do it?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, let's schedule it.
Can we have a follow up to this? Yes, Indio. Angie, I would love to have it because you have such nuggets of wisdom.
Thank God.
That you can be able to share with many guys who are probably struggling at this time. I mean, tumeshaongelesha Gen Z, umesema part of their personality ni kuamka to leave their job.
Yeah.
You know, but they can, if they don't like their place of work, maybe they can move on to something else.
Yeah, start their own business.
I would love to have these conversations with you. So we see how we can be able to equip them.
Yeah, I think that's part of my passion. Just giving people access to all the knowledge they need to make the best decisions for their lives. Thank you so much for having me. I mean, I'm such a fan of your podcast, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I think that too many people, I don't know if we're going to edit this out, but too many people have microphones with not enough substantial content or content that actually that is helpful. But you're not one of those. And so I really am a fan of your podcast. I'm a fan of the conversations.
For that, I'll even pour you some.
Asante
You've earned
sana.
it.
Oh, you see, guys, on this podcast, you have to earn your keep. But thank God, I am not parched. But I think some of the conversations you've had have been amazing. And I think the fact that it's non-scripted, we just get to know people. We see behind the names, the titles, past. Oh man, like I think my favorite podcast episode was the one for FGM to this point.
Oh man, that was a hard one.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I know of FGM here, but like listening to the stories, these are people and they're sharing and I was so broken, but also just so challenged. I'm just like, okay, what can I do? You know, like I watched it and I was just like, was so heavy, but also so like now I know enough to be able to speak in some places, obviously not too much, but it was such a beautiful episode and I shared it with, a number of people.
Thank you.
But thank you for the space. Thank you for having these conversations. Thank you for moving beyond just the theory of our faith to practice and how people are living that out and how we can be salt and light. It's really, it
means
makes
a lot.
A difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And that one for FGM was hard.
Whew.
As in, just looking at Zaytoon and also Nampayo and listening to their stories and those things that you listen to and they're like, itakuja intoka kwa kichwa yangu. And I'm like, I can't just sit and watch this thing happen.
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters.
Yeah. And when Zaytoon, her name? Yeah. When she was sharing that she was 10, I literally just kept picturing my daughter. I mean, she's 6, but I just kept picturing how she says it was just a day. She was just happy. She was going to school to madrasa. And then next thing, she had not even been told, been prepared. I mean, like the shift that happens. I mean, I was just like, no, like this is, like, I think you said it very well. Human rights violation.
There's no other way to do it. You cannot put it in any other way.
I was like, no. In this day and age where we're saying we have access to so much information, knowledge, people are empowered. Oh God, let that reach to the last parts of our country, of our systems. Yeah. I mean, that just needs to end.
Yeah. I'm hoping that more people will be able to consume it. It's, as you do the episodes, you're like, there are those that are not going to be very popular because of the nature of the conversation. But I do wish that more people would actually listen to it. So we take an action, about it so that we don't continue propagating or allowing this thing. Yeah. For me, I think if Jamaz would stand up and talk about it,
definitely,
it would reduce.
For sure.
Because I don't think the women have anything to gain by going through it.
Yes. At all.
No. Not with that experience,
there's literally nothing that shows anything positive has come out of this. Yeah.
So if more men, actively took part in those conversations, we can be able to start seeing a reduction in the number of FGM cases, and hopefully come to an end. There's no way to allow your daughter to go through something like that. No, not in your right senses.
Not in your right senses. And I think there's this, like for me personally, when I think about it, and I'm definitely, you can count on me as part of propagating and sharing that content, because it really was so impactful to me. And I think that because I sort of had the mind of, I know of FGM, but I know sort of like there are people who do campaigns against it, and so it's sort of didimiering. It's like isharing wherever it is. But to see that this thing is actually still rampant, and just the detail of what actually happens, I think was so shocking to me. I think many people have been desensitized just because we just heard about FGM and we know people campaign against it and it's finished. But I think for it to be more mainstream, to be in people's faces, just to listen, especially to the first, I think it was half an hour, to hear their personal stories, was so I was, even before we got to the part of this is what SLT does and I was just like, I need to do something. Guys, let's just stop what we're doing. So definitely you can count on me to just to share it wherever I can share it. But I think let's be less desensitized to these things.
And let me put it out there, by the way, that episode was not sponsored. No. Just because I had guys for SLT, so they're called the girl generation. They are doing something about survivors of FGM. So I thank God that I was able to highlight someone who's actively doing something. Because if it was not for girl generation, you'd not have seen Zaytun there. You'd not have seen Empire there. And the things that they're able to do to sensitize people about FGM. It was not a paid for episode. Wow. They're just wonderful people who are doing something excellent. And man, I want to encourage them to continue. You heard Akina Zaytun talk about what SLT has done for them. It's survivors leadership training. So...
And even how it got them from this dark place, this place of recovering from trauma that you don't even know. Your identity is so wrapped around this practice that has happened, something that happened to you, and the side effects of that have so marred your life experience.
Completely.
You're ending up in alcoholism, ending up just with no purpose and no hope. Man. And then having people support you in that is just, wow. It's awesome.
We need to do something about it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This has been real.
Thank you. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Big shout out to your mom.
Oh, yeah. She's incredible. She's incredible. And interestingly, she's also grown, I think, from raising us and through those experiences, even on our part. Recently, I was listening to her on a podcast, a church podcast, and she shared so vulnerably. I was just like, this is a very different person from the person who, in those early years of my life raised me. And over the years, she has been so vulnerable, in the church and in different spaces. And I was like, well, it helped me, but it also helped her. I think be more effective in ministry and
she talked to more women, mothers, to be able to learn from her experience. This has been real. Guys, want to say thank you so much for joining us for the DJ Mo's podcast today. I was with Angie Obwaka, an amazing mother, amazing lady. Majamas, take note, tafadhali, yani. Great HR consultant, entrepreneur, and she has so much more that she's that she does. And thank you so much for joining us today. I deeply do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for your support. If you've loved this episode, tafadhali, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and share. Drop us a comment. Sindio. Reach out to Angie. Her social media handles ziko hapa hivi. Give her a holla, tafadhali. Sindio. And God bless, guys. It's been real.
Bye.
Kwaherini. See you. So, Angie.
Yes.
I've just given you the t-shirt, but I want to officially do it with the bag.
Oh, that's fancy.
You
I like it.
Yeah. So, karibu.
Asante sana. Thank you. Oh, let me turn it this way. Oh, this looks nice.
Thank you.
I like this.
Thank you so much, Bana.
Thank you, guys.
Locally done.
Anybody else inviting me for the podcast, please, this is the standard now. Don't just come, then we just pray and dismiss. No, now I want... Okay.
It's good because you share nuggets of wisdom, Bana. Yeah.
No, I'm just playing, but thank you.
Thank you so much.